last 4 months.
Okay.
Just due to the feedback that I've received from you all that you would rather have it in a more user-friendly format.
Yeah. I know for me, I'm not able to make this motion, so as chairman.
I'll make a motion and we can have discussion, okay?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Hold on one second, please.
I'll make a motion.
All right, motion made, second. Discussion.
Okay, Mayor, yes, drop it, man, too. What we can do about that?
Based on what Lori said, I think you ought to recommend to the full commission vote to do it so that when she sends the letter, it will be coming from the Bradley County Commission. Maybe that will, you think that will help, Lori?
I do.
You see what I'm saying? Because she's made the request before, I think verbally, but you all recommend and get the commission tonight to approve that recommendation, then that would, she could pass it on that you all are asking, you as a body.
Do we need to change that motion or?
I think we can just make the motion the way it is and just put it before the full commission to vote on.
Okay, I'll make a motion that after we get the report, take it to full.
All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Other business.
Mr. Chairman, we did get a report, and I need to report this and then tell you that we did get a report there that there was not taking cash anymore, but we don't have, a gentleman was supposed to have a recording of that, but we listened to the recording and we did not hear where they did not take cash. So he called this morning and they do take cash. Right. So, and they have never stopped taking it. I don't know how that information got out, but it was out and I got a call on it, so just wanted to clarify that if they are taking cash.
Any other? I do, as I hate to keep speaking of this as a chairman, I hate to keep bringing things up, but one of the things that I was concerned about, and one of the most concerning issues I've had, and this is hindsight's 2020, and Mayor, I will apologize ahead of time. At the time of when we put up the monitoring system, we'd requested, or actually the road department was wanting to monitor a system. Since then, that monitoring system has been put down to, well, the road department was unable to do it at this time. Of course, we've had a changeover of people and so on, and I understand why. And we've had many issues at this point with it, and there's just no one there to fix it. We need to see if there'd be, what I'm requesting is the mayor pick this service back up or pick it up. And like I said, hindsight's 2020, and I'll eat crow on it. This is actually something that I'm requesting, not something that you have to do to say, but I believe it would be better under you, or better taken care of, let's put it that way.
That's up to you all. So far, the company's not been that great to deal with, to say the least. If I were to be involved, I'm going to be telling them if they want it renewed, they're going to have to do some things. And I don't know that they will agree to do some things. I mean, this is a company in Canada. When Troy has to deal with him, he has to deal with him, I think, mostly over the phone. It's not been a good situation. So I'm just telling you, we're going to have to sort of get on them if we're to continue spending money with them. So far, they haven't seemed to be very helpful, I guess you would say. Lori knows more about it than I do because we sort of passed the buck to her to make those calls and stuff. But we renewed, and now I guess they'll probably think we're just going to automatically renew again. But you all have to at some point give me some guidance because I don't want put on me that we're not doing something whenever we can't, other than give them a call, and Troy has met them out there and made improvements. They still got one that's not working, I believe. So we've already been doing some of that, but
Is this the only company that does this?
well, the problem is now we've contracted them to do it, and now we have an annual software license agreement, I guess you would say, to renew. So we'd probably have to start all over if there was another company. I think from memory, this was the only company that anybody came up with. So I don't know. I mean, I get the complaints sometimes about something not working, but the company that's responsible for it's not been too good about fixing it.
Mayor, I think that is really the issue. I think that we need somebody that's willing to, that has the authority to threaten them with a contract, honestly.
Well,
And I don't mean that in a totally negative way. It's just something has to get their attention, because as of right now, it's not working too well. And I know that if we have one person that can actually manage it, I believe that'd be a little bit better instead of stretching it out.
and that's fine. Troy has gone out there several times. I don't know if they've ever showed up. They just talk over the phone or whatever. So they're absent.
Mm.
If it gets fixed, it's because maybe they told Troy to do this or that, but he's the legwork that's doing it all. Just want you all to understand that. I mean, you know what I'm talking about back there. They get paid a few $1,000s, but they don't, other than a phone call, and that usually takes a while. But we're willing to do whatever, as long as you understand that, because I don't want to be accused of being the problem here. I just see it as a problem.
Do you need a request from this committee to take that on, or do you?
Well,
always-
probably because, again, from memory, I think you all voted for the road department to
Yeah.
do it, and
So we'll have to have something.
it wouldn't hurt just so that it's documented, right?
Is anyone willing to make that motion?
Mr. Chairman, how would that motion, how do you want that motion to, what do you want it to say?
That our office be asked to work with the company that has put in this software. I'm looking at Adam because he dealt with them originally, for continuing the maintenance operations of something to that effect. It's hard to explain. I've never had a company that didn't exist before, except wherever they're at in Canada or California or somewhere. But if you vote that you want our office to work with them on continuing to maintain the operation of the software, then we'll do whatever from there. Report back to you if you want us to.
If we could ever get them to straighten up the reporting system, they're the ones reporting, but.
Yeah, we're asking
You
them to
can
do
report us
something
to
now,
keep
and we
up
can't even
something.
get them to fix something
Yeah.
usually, so.
But yes, if anybody wants to make that recommendation,
Make that motion.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass unanimously. Any other new business?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there's one other thing that I'd like to request that we do. You know, I live on 64 Highway. Every day I see trucks pass hauling fiberglass. And you can see it on the side of the road sometime, and it's coming from John Mansfield up in Etowah. And it's going to our landfill. And what I would like to know is how much time that we have left on that landfill. What they predict is time that we have left on the landfill.
Mm.
You know, at one time it was 40 years, and another time it was something else. But I'd just like to know, you know, are they filling it up pretty fast, or we got 10 years left on it? We got to look at it anyway. It's something we need to look at. And so hopefully that we'll have another 20, 30 years left on it. But sometimes I think when all this stuff is hauled in there, how much time we do have.
Mhm.
I know it's going to cut down on our time. So I'd like to get an answer to that from whoever to see how much time we have.
Commissioner, been a few months now since someone made the comment that we didn't have much life left, and we got it from them. They turn in an annual report to the state, and it's not in simple terms anymore. But anyway, at that time, and it's in the last year, it was something like 26, 27 years. It's called Life of the Landfill. But it changes all the time, but they are limited. So based on what it is today, and then based on their tonnage cap that you all have in place, it was 26, 27 years. Does that make sense? Is that sort of what you're after? But they have a cap that you put on them, and so as long as they're under that cap, they can. And based on that cap is how they figure the years of the life. So
I would rather see them hauling that in the slush that they hauled in before, you know.
And by the way, the sludge is still down. Those numbers are even way below the committed number. I do check on that fairly regularly, and that's been way down, almost non-existent. But there's still some, of course. But yeah, but just keep in mind they have a cap that you all put on them, and in their reports they are always under that cap, and then that. Based on that's what determines the life of the landfill, how much tonnage is going to go in over the next several years. So it was 26, 27 years the last time we did that calculation, and that's been in the last several months.
Mayor, I know that the monitoring system has been we've had our issues with it. I do truly believe it has helped at the landfill for us and for the company out there also. Just for them to know where they're at, it's also helped the public quite a bit. So I appreciate us working. Are you willing to work with them on that? At the same sense, I do agree with you that we do need to do something to make them hold to the contract themselves. Although we typically don't do this during a committee meeting, I'm going to open it up to a few people to talk for about 3 minutes, okay? If you have something that you're going to talk about it's all the same, please just keep it to something different. So if anybody is willing to speak, then you're welcome to come up and speak this time. I see many of you there. Okay.
Thank you, Chairman Hughes. I'm not used to talking from this end, but it's good to see all of you again, Mayor Davis, and I want to first of all begin by saying this: that I compliment you for keeping this committee alive. The complaints are still prevailing. Things are better from what I hear, but they're still not where they should be. I want to update you just a little bit as far as I'm concerned. I've met with TDEC at least on 10 occasions and made maybe some differences. One is we got a different contact person with TDEC other than Harry, and maybe that's making a difference, and hopefully it's out to the community that there's a different person to work with. I'm in the process of getting with Murfreesboro Mayor Shane McFarland and also some legislators over there. I'm going to invite Mayor Davis and his staff and any of the local legislators here, and then also in McMinn County with Mayor Gentry. And the reason why is these three areas seem to have a lot of similar problems. And so anyway, I want to invite those, and we're going to try to see if we can't come to some kind of agreement on maybe even some legislation that might help this. Our back's against the wall at times. Well, I know that you feel like you're butting your head against the wall at times. I do too. And I know that this group, they also feel the same way. They've dealt with this for many, many years. And one of the things that maybe is disturbing about this is we cannot exceed federal government regulations. And I know that there's a state or two that's doing so. California is an example of one of those, but they're being made to do it because they're not up to specs. So the federal government is mandating that they go beyond that. The next thing is this: I'm asking that between local and me and the other legislators that we remain unified on the same page, and so that maybe unification there will bring on positive thought processes and seeing if we can't get some things solved. Next thing is this: I want to say this, and I think I can speak on your part also and say this, that our safety and security of our citizens, that's always my number one priority, and I'm sure it's the same way as far as you're concerned. These people, they have dealt with a number of issues over the year, and they do need help. And I know that they're tired of dealing with this. So I'm going to conclude by saying this, that all of us together, let's be on a relentless pursuit and be persistent, dogmatic maybe at times with our approach for permanent relief, and also to offset at times we get temporary relief, and it needs to be greater than it needs to be permanent relief. So thank you again for allowing me to speak. Thank you for the job you're doing. Thank you for keeping this committee alive, and it's good to see you again. Thank you very much.
Say, Rep. Raper, I've heard already from several people from the state that's talked about how much you've been diligent on this, so thank you. That's all I want to say is just thank you for what you are doing. Is there anyone else that would speak? Or they can.
I've got several things to say. As you're talking about EnviroSuit, the way he sold this contract to the public and to y'all too was there would always be somebody there to fix them. They could track it back to the landfill. He said, we can track a dirty diaper on the side of the road. That's how he sold it. Now, I'd like to know if things like that are in that contract, and then you should be holding them to it, the way I see it. Am I not right? Is that not what everybody understood? He said we can track, he said you can tell the difference between the interstate odor, the landfill, and a dirty diaper. That's another thing that you should be asking for in that report. They should be tracking it back to the landfill. That's a big problem for me, considering that the state is going around and blaming our neighbors for it. That's a big problem. As far as the cap on the landfill, is 400,000 tons per calendar year, but they can put more in there with permission. So know that. That's per year. So that does cut down on your life expectancy. You just said that you can't exceed government regulations. Okay, well, this is what I was going to suggest, and I don't think it would be that costly to Republic to go ahead and sow grass on the side of our neighborhood. They're not dumping trash there. This is the side that's next to our neighborhood. Now, when it rains, there are crevices in that trash, and that's where a lot of that gas escapes. Last year, Hamilton County had 53.68 inches per year. Bradley County had 52.71. Your average, 5-year average of rainfall is 52.71 in Bradley County, 64.88 in Hamilton County. I did Hamilton County because we're right on the line. The landfill is right on the line. Water makes a difference. Water makes a big difference in that landfill. If they go ahead and sow grass on that side, at least it will slow the gas down give it something else to go through before it gets to the neighborhood. Part of your saying you can't exceed, I suggest that they buy another tarp. I'm under the understanding that they have a tarp that they cover the open landfill with through the week, and on the weekends they use the dirt. Now, as a manager of that landfill, he should know everything that comes into his landfill every day. He also knows what is going to cause the gas. He knows whether it'll take it a day or 2 days, if he's any kind of manager at all. So I suggest that they use 2 tarps instead of just 1. Something to hold it down. To me, I don't think that'd be invading the U.S. government's stuff or would hurt Republic in any shape, form, or fashion. They can write every bit of that off at the end of the year on their taxes. And I do think that the mayor's office needs to get involved with EnviroSuit to make them do what they promised. That's all we want, is what they promised. If they've been doing what they promised, there wouldn't be any problems. But they're not doing what they promised. And I agree with you. I wouldn't pay for it either. I would not pay for it if they're not going to do what they said. And if it's in the contract, you should hold them to the contract. And I don't see any reason why you can't. Everybody does that. Everybody. You do that with people that you work with now. I guess that's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Kenneth?
I'd like to say a few words since I'm on a monitoring team. We used to have a team consist of 5 people. First of all, I definitely do not want in any way to get rid of the monitoring system. It has made all the world in the difference. Just for me, talking with the managers at the landfill and what we were reading on there, and I go around the neighborhood, and what I see on those monitors, I try to verify a lot of times what I'm seeing on those monitors. And then I contact the landfill manager, and I tell him, what we're getting and ask him a few questions about this. But we've never had a denominator for this monitoring system. It's never been put into effect. I can't do it because I'm not a legal person. I can keep up those monitors. I can call EnviroSuit. I was doing it before our new changeover in the road department. At that time, we had most of the people who made this contract with us. Now there's none of those people there. They've had a whole turnover. I don't know of a one that I talked to that's there anymore. Is that the way it is, you, Lori? I don't know a single person. But we still got to get a denominator. Somebody's going to take an interest in this monitoring system. It's got to be a person. They got to go to the landfill too. They got to go to the community. And they got to keep up with these monitors, because if you don't, you lose track of how they operate. Yeah, they told us, like Janice said, they told us they could track a dirty diaper, they could track the interstate. I can track the interstate sometimes, but I have to go make sure, because when they have a backup on that interstate, the VOC goes out of sight. So that's so I went up, and when wind's out of the south, you got to use your instruments that you got. So it takes a while to learn all this. So I don't want to get rid of the system, because it's really gave us a good tool to work with the landfill on what they are producing on the community. So, I can stand here and talk a long time about what's happening, but I'm willing to work with anybody. And I think I know a lot about those monitors. And I think I know what's working right and what's not working right. And I've expressed my concern about that, but it's not went very far, because the EnviroSuit technician may say, well, this and that and that. Well, I know what that monitor's done in the past, and it ain't done nothing since December the 6th, I believe it is, last year. It ain't done nothing. And we've had odor over on Bancroft.
On one, set a timer. Sorry.
So
Can't
if y'all want to ask me any questions you want to right now, I think I can answer about those monitors.
I have
I
spoken.
just cannot contact the EnviroSuit no more
Yeah.
because they won't take nothing, I got stopped doing that.
Kenneth, I think I've spoke with you so many times that there's no questions I could ask that I hadn't already asked or know the answer to. I don't know if you guys want, Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Chairman, we got a road committee meeting, Tim's chairman of that, here the last of the month. And, you said you didn't get the help that you did from the, road department before. So we could ask the road department if they would be willing to participate in that. And we could go to that, couldn't we?
Well,
Commissioner Thompson.
I'm not asking to be the person to do it because I'm not a county employee.
Right.
And
Commissioner.
it's under the county contract, so I'm not supposed to be.
Right.
But when I was, they were calling me simply because they couldn't get a hold of nobody. They couldn't get a hold of nobody.
Well,
Commissioner
since we
Thompson.
have a different group out there now, we can talk to them
Yeah,
and, see if, what we can get them to do to help monitor that, so.
Athens is not having no problem with them. They got a monitor right now at their landfill, and I talked to them. They're not having any problems with EnviroSuit. I think it's us. I think it's us here not communicating and not putting pressure on them. They're only gonna do what they're asked to do. And I would love to talk to somebody at EnviroSuit. I have a whole bunch of stuff I could talk to them about these monitors.
Commissioner Thompson, the reason we requested for the mayor to take that over is because the road department, whenever they changed over, was shorthanded at the very beginning, and it was just something he wasn't able to take care of right now. I think under the mayor's office, he's the one that's over contracts anyway, that it would be a better fit for the mayor, honestly. It's the reason that I hate to say I beg for forgiveness, but I beg for forgiveness and eat a little crow and went from there. But I believe it would honestly fit better under him to be able to force their hand. Yeah. The main problem is the contract is just not being enforced and it's slid through the wayside. We've had too many people on it at one time, not enough of one person managing it.
Did we get help on that, Mayor? Okay. Appreciate that. I know you will.
I know I'm not a county employee, and y'all don't think much about what I say sometimes, but I'm willing to answer questions.
I will assure you that the emails you send are being looked at and they are being heard from, because I've spoke with other people that have said the same thing. They may not be acknowledging, but they are listening.
Yeah.
That I
Well,
will assure you of.
I just feel so confident. I spend a lot of hours
Mhm.
working on it, and I know what's going on.
I can actually get with you after the meeting and tell you a little bit, but
It's just a lack of communication with the company, and if we had somebody that really had the time and get in there and get with them, this could be a wonderful program for the landfill, as well as all these people here that's still getting stenched out.
I agree.
And that John Linville waste you talk about coming in, that stuff is a problem. I talked with the state last week on that, and he volunteered to tell me first because it wasn't getting covered up. They went 2 days over there, they didn't cover that mess up. These people got gas at night. And the reason they couldn't, because that them big old roll of stuff, they couldn't get the trash out from under it and around it to get it covered. So 2 days they didn't cover. So I called TDEC, got a hold of TDEC, and he sends the inspector up there. She stays up there till 12:45 a.m. the next morning till they got all that stuff covered up so we wouldn't have gas over. That's the kind of stuff we get hooked up with, and nobody ever knows what really goes on in that landfill. And this denominator, whoever we assign, they need to get involved with what goes on in that landfill too, because there's a lot of stuff that's creating these poor health conditions over there that they just don't do their job properly. Or they're doing it the way they used to do it, and they need to change to protect the people's environment.
I agree with you. We're gonna have to move on a little bit and let other people, if they wish to
Okay.
speak.
All right.
Thank you, though. Is there anyone else?
My name's Bill Sanders. Some of you know me, and I'm really here not to complain, but I'm telling you, I appreciate what we've done. You know, I've been pretty critical in these last year or two, and I appreciate the improvement, Mayor and the whole group, and the councilman and the committee. But we've got to continue. We can't let it falter. We've got to continue to do things. I mean, I live right in the middle of it. These people live right in the middle of it, and we're appreciative that we don't smell everything like we did a couple of years ago or a year and a half. But if we don't give attention to it, and of course, monitoring is a good one, and I think that was a great thing. It's got to be handled properly and efficiently and professionally. Also, as the lady said, and I'm a big agreement of this. Some of you may know some of the development I've got down there. And what we're doing on that Merritt Hill is, as soon as we get a slope stabilized, we grass it heavily. If you're coming down from the four-way stop on the left going south on Pleasant Grove Road, you can see what can be done. It turns it in from a barren, eroding slope to a very attractive. And I think that's something that we can do. And the landfill, I know a lot of people say, well, it's a landfill, you knew it was there, it's bad, it's going to be bad. That ain't necessarily true. My background is design and development, city planning design. I like to say I was the first city planner that Cleveland had. And many places from history up to now are taking advantage. And we have a good situation where we have the east side of that slope can be beautified, and it's got grass, but it can be fertilized, and it could be looking like my side of the road is on one little spot. That can be done, and nobody will complain about being near a landfill, except when you smell it, and we've been working on that. And I know we're filling on the backside and further down, but continue the vigil of trying to keep it acceptable. You know, if it's awful nice to say, well, we have a landfill, but it's pretty, and it can be, and that's a point I want to make. The first question I get when people want to talk about coming where I'm developing and buying land or whatever, what are you doing about the landfill? What? You don't smell anything, do you? He said, no, but I can still see it. And we need to see something that I think is attractive. I know it can be done. I've done it, not on landfill, but I've seen it in many, many cities that I've worked with. So please, that's another thought to consider. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do that. Okay? Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate your help. Good to see you all again, and I hadn't been up here because I didn't bother, but I do want to compliment you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Is there anyone else? Then, House meeting adjourned. Thank you.